Okay, so we'll start with the generics today. Now, what we have to study is the generics. First, what is the introduction? What do you mean by generics? Second is, what is the benefits of the generic? The third is generic classes and the interfaces. Also, we have to study generic methods. Come to the introduction first. Generics enable us to create classes, interfaces, and methods in which the type of data upon which they operate is specified as a parameter. Repeating again, till this moment, suppose you want to do a summation of the array, just a normal. One thing you should note it down, the generic you only works on the objects, it will not work on the primitive data types. So suppose I have an integer array. Here the integer is the class, not the primitive data type. So suppose I have an integer array and I want to do the summation. So whatever the program we will write for summation of the array. Second problem is I have a double array, I want to do the summation. Suppose the third problem is I have a float type array and I want to do the summation. If you write these three programs, one is for integer array summation, one is for double type array summation, and one for float type array summation, you will see only the object has been changed, that integer object, double object, and float object. So the idea is, if you want to write a generic program so that that particular program will not depend on a particular type of the object, that is integer type object, it is a double type object, or it is a float type object, writing such type of a class that can operate on any type of the data is called as a generic. I am repeating this statement again so it will make more sense to you. Enable us to create classes, interfaces, and methods in which the type of the data upon which they operate is specified as a parameter. So what we will do, instead of declaring it is an integer type, means this summation work for the integer type or double type or the float type, it will pass as a parameter. It has been you will see further examples also, it could be more clear. I will take a very basic example first. For a moment, okay, we'll get it back like after some time, let it be. It has been introduced in JDK 1.5. Generics means parameterized types. Generic adds the type safety. Generics add the stability to your code by making your more bugs detectable at a compile time. Now, it adds the stability to your code by making more of your bugs detectable at compile time. So, you are already aware a compile time problem are better than finding a problem at a runtime. What is the UI generics? What is the need? The functionality of generics classes can be achieved without generics by specifying the object type and using the proper casting whenever required. Then what is the need of the generics? Why we use? Still, whatever the functionality and whatever the thing that we can achieve using generic classes, it could still be achievable through the typecasting. With the proper use of the casting whenever required, we can still achieve. But still, what is the need of the generics? Java compiler does not know knowledge about the type of the data actually stored in non-generic. Means the data type, the type information is not present in the non-generic classes. So explicit cast must be employed to this stored data. Means suppose you have some data stored inside an object. Now this object is of integer type, it is a double type or a float type. The compiler does not know. So you have to explicit typecast to retrieve the data in a particular format. Several type mismatch errors cannot be found until runtime. A stronger type check at a compile time. What is the need why we use the generic? The stronger type checks at compile time. See, it eliminates the use of cast. See example here. I have a list type object and I'm passing an array list object here. Then, so this is the normal array list we are creating, and then I'm adding a hello as a string. But the compiler does not know the array list. You can store any type of the data. That's why whenever you're trying to get that value, you have to typecast. You have to explicitly typecast to store inside this thing. Still, you have stored a string only, but still at the time of retrieving, since the array list can store any type of the data, you have to explicitly typecast to get it back to the string. Now suppose you are using the generics here. See, whenever you use the generics, you can actually pass the type information. Okay, this is the type. Okay, I am creating an array list of string type only. In this case, this array list by default will take only arrays. If you try to add something else that is not an string, you will get a compile time error. See, this is the thing, this is a benefit. A strong type checks at compile time. See, this is an array list that is only meant to store strings. In this case, if you pass, you will try to add something that is not a string, you will get a compile time error. That is a strong type check. And at the time of retrieval the value through the get method, you did not require to do any sort of typecasting, because by default your array list is generic to the string. So obviously it will only store the strings only. That is the case, we did not require to do the typecasting. Enabling the programmers to implement the generic algorithm. We can implement generic algorithm that works on the collection of the different types, can be customized. They are type saved and easier to read. What is the advantage of the generic? The ability to create type safe code in which the type mismatch errors are caught at the compile time. See, in the previous case, whenever we are doing the array list, that array list is generic to the string. In this case, if you pass any integer, double, any data type in the form of objects, it will not, you will get a compile time error. It is a key advantage of the generic. One thing you should note it down. The generics works with an object, only with the object, means all your primitive data types will not going to work. So whenever you are declaring an instance of the generic type, the type argument passed to the type parameter must be a class type. Means you are passing an int here. Now int is a primitive data type and generics are only meant to work with the objects. In this case, you have to pass the integer that belongs to the number class. In that case, it will be correct then. The above declaration is error because you are using a primitive data type. The reference of one specific version of a generic type is not type compatible with another version of the same generic type. Means, suppose they are not type compatible with each other. Means one version, suppose you create, versions are like the different objects. Both objects are not same to each other. Means suppose you have, somebody has created an object for the integer type of the generic, somebody has created a string type. In this case, they are not equal. Come to the generic classes. I will show you the general syntax of the declaring a generic class. The generic syntax for declaring a generic class as a keyword, the class name, and pass the type parameter inside the smaller and the bigger bracket. And then you can write your whatever you want to describe within that class. The syntax for declaring a Reference to the generic class means suppose you want to create the object, write the class name, again the type argument list, your variable name, new class name, again type argument list, and some constant argument list if it is there. I will show an example this time. It is the correct time to show an example now. Okay. I have a class called as the logic gen, and the type here, the type information is like anything. Means I do not want to specific, means this particular code will work on any type of the objects. So what this program basically does what? Whenever you create the object of this class with the help of the constructor of this class, you will just copy the value, okay, and then with the help of the belonging you want to print the class name and the name. What is the get class and get name. This is a very simple program. Now here, if you want to create any method, see, this is a method we have created, and what it will do, it will accept the, whenever you will call this method get, you will pass some parameter. See, the type of the parameter is not particularly mentioned, means this program can work for any type of the data. So that's why we return anything here, means it can work for any type of the data. What it does, it will take the value as an OB here. Now the data could be transferred in the same type, so that's why we have created an object of anything type. Again, it is a type here, it is not a particular, it is not an integer, it is not a double, it is just a type. So you're just copying the OB to the OB with the help of this, so it should be the instance type. And now what is the return? You are returning OB also. So whenever returning the OB, what is the type of OB? It is anything. So you have written as anything as a return type here. Now with the help of the belonging, you can print the class and the name. So whenever I want to create the object of this class, I have to particularly pass the parameter list here. What is the parameter list? You can see here. There is a type parameter list, and here you have to pass the actual argument. Here you have passed the type. What is the type? It could be any type, anything. But whenever you're creating the object of that class, you have to pass a particular type. That is, it should be integer, it could be a float, it could be a string. So here you are passing an integer, okay, and then with the help of obj.get44, you will pass what? You will just pass this particular value 44 because the get method needs as a parameter, and then it will return OB, so it will store to the int. You can print this value, and then you can call belonging, that will tell you the type information also. Same, it could be used for string, because see, here you can create, see, anything is any type. So one time you can create with integer, one time you can create with a string. It is not an issue. So you are passing 44, but it is a string here within the double quote, and then you are passing the value to the string AA. You are printing the AA value, and you can call the belonging again. Now one thing you should note it down: obj1 and obj, they are not same. They are two different. They are two different objects. One obj belongs to a logic gen class only, which is meant to work for the integers. At the same time, obj1 is meant to work with the strings. Let me execute this code and see what happens. See, anything is java.lang.integer, one time it is java.lang.string. This is the values, but the first time you are passing as an integer, the second time you are passing as a string. So this is a very basic example of a generic class. One thing you note it down: if you are trying to use any type, like you are using like a type here. You're not passing a particular value, you're just using a type information instead of passing the exact object. This has to be mentioned with the class because the class does not know what is anything. So it should be explicitly defined here. It could be more clear with the further video. So I will take one more example. This is a simple example. The same thing. This time we are using the more appropriate way as per the standard. Here I am creating a class gen, that is the here is a t, it is a type, t type, means it can process the t type information. So I have the call the constructor of this class, means whatever the value will pass through the constructor will copy to the OB. OB is of which type? Since this O is of T type, OB should be also of the T type. And then we have something called as the get OB that returns OB. Now OB is, see, this is a method. Now whenever it is a method, you should pass the return type. What is the type? Here the OB is of which type? T type, so it should be a T, and then it will return the value, and then again we have a show type that will return the class and the get class dot get name. It will return the class and the name there. Now, so first I'm creating a gen of, I'm creating the object of the gen class as an IOB. So one thing you should note it down. You have to pass this time then actual argument. Whenever you're passing the actual argument, means it should be an object. I'm passing an integer type object. So this means this object IOB will work for the integer. Here the type, whatever the type t has been, or like has been, the type information has been given through the IOB is like, okay, it is an integer type. You will pass the value at 8, it will go to the parameterized constructor of this class, and the value will be copied to OB. Now whenever you will call the show type, it will return the type as a integer. Now with the help of the get OB, you can copy the value to the integer and you can print the value also. At the same time, suppose you will create generic, again an object we are creating, but this time it is of a string type. Now I am creating a generic class, but the type here is a string. So what we want, that whenever I will call this show type here, it will return the, okay, this is like belongs to the string. Now you can, with the help of the getOb method, it obviously, since the type information t has been passed as a string here, if you want, you will call the getOb, it will return a string, and then you can get the output here. Let me execute and see whether it works in the same way or not. The file name is generic demo. Okay, this is generic demo, sorry. The type of t is java.lang.integer, the value is 88, and the type of t is java.lang.string, the type, this, it is a testing generic is the string. Now how many type information we have passed? Only one type. You can pass multiple types also. You see in the generic class with multiple type parameters. We'll see with the code there directly, it should not work here. Means last time in the previous example you have seen the number of type parameter is 1. It also works for the multiple type parameters. Examples will remain same, but just how to utilize in a different way you have to understand. Now this time I have two objects of this class. One object is of t type, one is object is of v type. Whenever I am calling the constructor of this class, O1 belongs to t type and O2 belongs to v type. And O1 will go, the value of O1 will go to OB1 because O1 and the OB1 belongs to the same type t, and O2, and the value of O2 will go to the OB2 and it should be of v type because the O2 and OB2 is of the same type. So we are passing two multiple parameters, type parameter, it is a type, again I am saying. So we are passing the multiple type parameter. Again we will call the show type method. One first that it will return the type of T and also it will return the type of V. So get OB1, OB1 is of which type? T type. So here the whenever you will return OB1 here, the return type should be of T type. Whenever you will call get OB2, what is the return type? What is OB2 type? V. It should be V type. Now whenever you create the object of this class, you have multiple type parameters. This means you have to pass two objects. So here I am passing two objects. The first object is integer and the second object is of a string. And then since they accept as a constructor here, one is O1 and O2, that is T and V type. Here the T is integer and V is a string. I am passing integer and a string. First is integer and second is string. So what has been decoded of the type? Now the T is of integer type and V is of string type. Now tg.obj.show types. Whenever you call the show types, it will return the type of T and V. Now whenever you call tgobj.getOb1, what the getOb1 returns? It will return the int c. GetOb1 returns the T type information, that is OB1 it will return. So you will return integer. What is the value? You can print the value there. Whenever you will call getOb2, it is meant to return V type. Here the V is a string. So you have to copy the value to the string and then you can print the value. Let me execute this code and see what happens in this case. See, the type of T is integer, T type is integer and V type is string. The value of the T is 88 and the value of the V is generic. So you can even pass multiple type parameters. Only the question rise. Hopefully the things are clear. What is T? What is V? This is just a naming convention, nothing else. We'll get back to the PPTs and see. We have already seen this example. Okay. Now what is I'm saying, what is T, what is V? This is the type parameter naming convention. The type parameter naming conventions are important to learn generics thoroughly. The common type parameters are as follow: T for type, E for element, K for key, N for number, and V for value. They are just the naming convention. Come to the bounded type. Bounded type is used to limit the type that can be passed as a type parameter. So you have to understand what is the need and then how to specify the bounded type. Now one thing you should be very clear. So we are here like typing parameter naming conventions we are done. We have started the bounded types. No? So we have to understand a problem first and then this problem could be solved using the bounded types, we will see. So let me figure out the problem. Suppose this is the problem we have. I want to write a generic class. I want to create a generic class that contains a method that returns the average of average of an array of numbers of any type. I'm repeating the question. Create a generic class that contains a method that returns the average of an array of numbers of any type, including the integer, float, and double. Means you have to create a method that can return the average of any number of any type, including integer, float, and double. So I will write a very possible solution. Here I have created a class stat that is of type T. I created a type T array. The name of the array is num. and whatever you will pass as an object, with the help of the constructor of the class, I will give the values to the nums. Now the idea is simple. I will call this thing from so whenever somebody will call this average method, it will initialize a double sum is equal to 0.0, and from 0 to the length of the nums, what is the array length, this loop will continue to run. For every value of nums, it will convert to the double and will store inside the sum. Eventually, you can return the sum, whatever the total, what is the average, total sum by length. So you can return sum divided by nums.length. But here the problem is double value. What is the problem here is why error? The compiler has no way to know that you are intending to create a stat object only for the numeric types. I will go back and see. You're calling, see, this average method works for the, obviously for the numbers. So you have called this double value so that any number with the help of double value method will be converted to the double, and then you can add it to the sum. Sum is itself a double type, but the problem here is who will tell the compiler that you only will pass the a number type of the information. Because nobody knows, t could be of any type. Somebody even can pass the string, and here it could be a problem. So it says the compiler has no way to know that you are intending to create a stat object using only numeric types. In this case, whenever we try to compile a stat, an error is reported that indicates that double value method is unknown, because for a string the double value method is not present. We need some way so that we can tell the compiler that we intend to pass only numeric types to t. But if the solution is like, if you can bound this t to the numbers only for the numeric type, the problem could be solved. Here we come as a bounded type. It is used to limit the types that can be passed to a type parameter. Means it can limit the type. Whenever specifying a type parameter, we can create an upper bound that declare the superclass from which all the type argument must be derived. Suppose I write t extends superclass, means suppose t extends number. In this case, t could be of only number type. It could be integer, it could be float, it could be double, but only to the numbers classes. A bound can include both as a class type or a one or more interface. So here the superclass, this particular thing can extend a my class or one or more interfaces. Let's see with an example. Come to the bounds then. Okay, so I have a class stat. Here t extends the number. If you note it down, here the t extends the number. This means whatever the type of the t you will pass, it should be or belong to only to the number class. If you pass something else, it will not going to work for you. Now you have an array of t type. With the help of the constructor of this class, whatever the value, whatever the array will be passed to the nums type. So the nums of t type, obviously the O should be of which type? T type. Then with the help of the average method, you have taken a double sum is equal to 0.0. It is a 0 value this moment, and for from I equal to 0 and less than nums.length, whatever the length of this array, you will continue for every value, it will convert to the double value, and then you will keep adding the summation, and then last you will return sum divided by nums.length. So the idea here is, here this time you have already bounded the type of t to the numbers. The double values are, the method double value is acceptable. We suppose this extend number is not given, means here the type of the t has not been bounded, then the compiler will give a compile time error. It will say the double value is not recognizable, because double value is not available for the string. But here we have made this t as a bounded type, so the t will only work with the numbers. So I will create an integer array I nums. and then I can, with the help of the stat, say I'm using an integer type. Integer is a belongs to the number class, so it will work. So integer class is the child class to the number class, so it will work fine. Inum. Then I can call iob.average. Average is meant to return double, so I have a double v. Then I can, okay, this is the average I have. Then I can create denums. The type of the denums is a double, and then here the type information is double again. The double is a child class to number. This will work fine, and you can find the averages here. Let me execute in code and see what happens in this case. The IOB average is 3.0, and I means integer object. Here IOB is the object assigned to the object of the stat class whenever the type information is integer. At the same time, whenever you have a DOB, this means it is an object of the stat class where the type information is double. So here you can see IOB average is 3.0 and DOB average is 3.3. Now suppose in the same example, if I want to add something so that we can get an idea that averages of two different objects are same or not. I'm repeating my problem. I'm trying to write a method here that can compare the average of two different objects. Is it okay? So I will write a solution here, and it will give an idea about what is a wildcard in generics. Now, so till line number 11, everything is the same. I have to just add one more method that will use to find the average. Okay, the averages are same or not. Suppose I will pass only t type because the stat is meant to t extends number. Okay. So what I am doing is I will pass an object of t type. I have to pass the object. The OB is of which type? It is of a stat type that extends the number here. In this case, one thing you have to note it down. Whenever you will see object will call the same average method, and then you will pass a second object. Now the problem here with this idea is the type of the calling object and the parameter object should be same, the exact type. If it is both should be integer, both should be double. They can't compare of two different types. Means you can't compare an integer and with the double. You can try to execute this code in this way. See what happens. Okay, so just make it some correction here. Okay, this stat type is a T. We do not want further. Let me execute this code now. See what happens. It says an incompatible type because you're calling like a stat double cannot be converted to the stat integer because whenever you have called this method, see, the IOBs belong to the integer type, the DOB belongs to the double type. Whenever you will call this IOB dot same average DOB, Here the parameter object and the calling object, the type informations are not same. In this case, the same average method will not work, because the same average is meant to work whenever the calling object and the parameter object type should be same. Now, how to solve this error or solve problem? We have a concept called as the wildcard demo. What the wildcard demo says, the wildcard says replace the type information with a question mark, like it is a not defined here. So the idea is I will pass it with the unknown type. I will replace it with a question mark. Question marks represent an unknown type. So what the unknown type means? Here the type information is not known. So idea, it will work in this way, like it will work in this type like you have passes a wildcard argument, means here the type information is unknown type, so the compiler will work without any problem. So what will happen this time? Instead of passing a particular type information t, I have replaced with a type that is a we are not aware of. It is a unspecified type. So question mark represents the unspecified type. So this idea is called as a wildcard argument. So whenever you pass the wildcard argument, the compiler will not check that the calling object and the parameter object types are same or not, and hence this average formula, this basic method will work for you. So whenever you will call with iob.sameAverageDob, still the calling object and the parameter objects are not same. Still the same average will work with the help of this concept called as a wildcard argument. So let me execute this code now and see what happens in this case. See, this program works now fine. Obviously it is, you will see the averages are different. IOB average is 3.0 and the DOB average is 3.3. Hence in this case, this is the concept of the wildcard demo. Instead of passing a particular type, you can pass a type that is a known type, and we call this thing as a wildcard argument. With the help of the wildcard argument, you have hide that in type information of the parameter object for a moment, and the compiler just compare the average of OB with the average of the calling object directly without even checking the type information. Now we'll go with an inference diamond demo. Like what is an inference diamond in generic? It is a very same. There is nothing much to be done. Again, this is the same example. Same example here. I have a class gen of the type T, and I have an object of type T. With the construct of the class, I am passing the value of O to the OB. O is of T type only, and the get OB method is of T type because it is returning OB. And again we have a show type that will return the type information of T. Now till this moment, so we are creating an object IOB of gen class. Here the type information is integer, and IOB is equal to new gen. Generally we write as integer here, we have seen, but this thing could be replaced. It is not required. And see, this type, it is a symbol of a diamond here. That's why we concept this called as the inference diamond. And then we can return the type. See, it means whenever you're passing with the help of the new keyword, you can ignore the type information here. See here at the line number 20, in the left side, whenever creating the reference, you pass the type of gen as a string. So whenever you're creating the object, the type information could be ignored. And since whenever you see this, it looks like a diamond, we call this thing as an inference diamond. Again, the program will work very fine in the similar way. The type of T is java.lang.integer, the value is 88. The type of T is java.lang.string, and the value is testing generic. Only the thing is, whenever creating the object, already have passed the type information in the reference. Whenever creating the object, it could be ignored. The type information could be ignored writing, and whatever the empty looks like a diamond. Hence we call this thing as an inference diamond. Okay, so we'll get back. Now the next topic is generic interfaces and the generic methods that we will see in the next video. Thank you.